earlier tweet. That's so funny. That's like one of the most iconic internet posts. Like people cite it to this day.
I can't help but agree.
Yeah, there's something about it that just like feels true. Like it's obviously an oversimplification, but like there's something like kind of true about it at the same time, which is like we're talking about the famous Tyler the Creator tweet, which I think may even provide a good point of focus for this discussion.
I don't think you can read it out loud.
I can't read the whole thing, but you may remember this. I'm gonna the abridged version that I'm allowed to say. Ha 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 ha. How the fuck is cyberbullying real? Ha ha ha. Just walk away from your screen, like close your eyes. Ha ha. Obviously an oversimplification, but like I actually do think that the wisdom provided in that tweet from 2012 was like way ahead of its time, and there's something to be said. I mean, you can opt out if you want. You don't have to be online.
Or if your parents opt out for you.
Right. Right.
Thanks to Disney Circle.
Thank you to our sponsors today, Disney, and their incredible product Circle.
At our family, we're pro technology, and something that has really helped us stay connected is this beautiful little device called Circle. We use this to literally pause the internet in our home. One of the greatest parenting tricks ever invented.
We're going to have some more details for you in a minute. But first. Welcome back to Boys Bible Study. We are here, your favorite boys. We are not real. Okay? We are not real. You are not real. We are all just imaginary friends on your screen, but we're your favorite boys. I'm Ash. I'm here with my co-hosts,
Scott
and Julian.
We have a film for you today. The title of this film is Connect. However, it is billed many places online as Kirk Cameron, Connect. What did we think of this one, guys? This was a really interesting entry into the Kirk Cameron the Kirk Cameron oeuvre.
The last documentary I watched made me really mad, and this documentary did not make me really mad.
Okay,
so I liked that about it.
That's an improvement. What was the last documentary?
Religulous.
Oh, right. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. We're definitely more relaxed today.
This was way funnier than Religulous.
Yes, absolutely. I will say though, and this is a sentiment that we seem to unanimously agree upon, I am so tired of seeing Kirk Cameron's face.
Yeah.
I actually tweeted this from our account a couple of days ago, way before, I think it was while I was editing Fireproof, like way before we even chose to do this one. I said, essentially, I am so tired of Kirk Cameron's face, voice, and general vibe. I really don't want to think about him anymore.
He's so like boyish still.
Yeah.
He looks identical to how he looked when he first became famous, but like more leathery.
Yeah.
And then in like 20 years, he's going to look like one of the kids from Akira.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to be one of the old kids in the bubble from Akira. He really looks like that. Do you think he's had work done? I kind of don't.
I don't think so. I think he just has like that youthful, because there's nothing like uncanny about it.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. He has a young face.
Yeah. And that's true.
And it's more the combination of that with like his like tough suburban dad, like the way he carries himself, but then he speaks with the cadence of like a youth pastor or like a theater kid. It's so obnoxious.
Yes.
It's like a confluence of all kinds of like hateable things about a person.
Absolutely. And the way that so obviously he is on camera during this, but the way you can tell he's like perpetually aware of how on camera he is just like really hard to tolerate. His listening face whenever he's sitting opposite in a chair or table from the person he's talking to, his listening face is like a deer 2 seconds away from being immolated by a pickup truck or by a giant Jeep, similar to the one that he drives during this entire movie.
Yeah, he's got the like conservative understanding face where it's like your chin is slightly upturned, your brow is furrowed, and you're like squinting really hard at the person, like nodding at everything they say.
Yes.
Like a stupid person trying to look like they comprehend.
Yeah. Yeah. You said something, Julian. You said that it doesn't seem like he's listening to a word of what's being said. He's play acting the listening aspect, but.
And the things he chimes in with sometimes are just like, something he said really cracked me up where they, like the lady who talks about like the cultural lies and God's truth.
Kathy Koch,
Kathy Koch,
author of Screens and Teens.
Yeah, she said something about how like she gave this like long speech, and then at one point she mentioned something about like Jesus is the way or something. And Kirk, like the only thing he says the entire time she's talking is him just going like, yeah, absolutely. Jesus is the way. It wasn't that, but it was like something to that effect. Like he finally latched onto a couple buzzwords he understands. He's like, oh, I should repeat these. So it seems like I know what she's talking about.
Yeah. His mind finally like linked onto one of the buzzwords that she was saying. Let's back up a tiny bit. This film, Connect, is a documentary fronted by Kirk Cameron. And we'll give a more in-depth summary, but I would say a general summary of this film is that we live in the smartphone generation. Okay, we live in the age of social. And I would say we're more connected than ever before. Correct me if I'm wrong. It seems to me like we're more connected than ever before. And Connect is Kirk Cameron's attempt to speak to Christian parents and say, hey, listen, we gotta be ready for these smartphones, okay? And that's what this documentary is about. It is about Kirk Cameron confronting smartphones and how they impact our young children's lives from a parenting perspective.
Noble goal.
Sure, noble goal. I mean, I think we can like fundamentally agree like the internet is really fucked up.
Yeah.
We have more intense ways of connecting to it that are just super intimate and easy and just, in our pocket. We can really just have our own private realm where we're just looking at the most fucked up shit imaginable. And yeah, your kids absolutely do have access to it. And I think we can unequivocally agree that that is a very weird thing. I will say, though, this was made in 2018.
It's still, even like the world views in it are still so outdated.
Yeah.
It feels like it could have come out in 2010 and been the exact same content.
Yes.
It really, to me, it felt like the scene in 2001, A Space Odyssey, where the monkeys first come in contact with the monolith and they like learn how to use tools. That's what it felt like, having like these Kirk Cameron and his friends try to explain how the internet works.
So you would say this is a Kubrickian movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just imagining Kirk Cameron putting on his listening face, but he's just looking at a giant obelisk. Like it's just him silently like observing and reflecting upon an obelisk with his like fucking like open mouthed listening face.
I know it's a big deal, but what is it?
So I think that actually brings me to like the first thing that I really wanted to talk about, which is that this film really documents the mystery and wonder of someone discovering what the internet is like in the year 2018. It is really just like behind the times, and like despite the truth of what he's saying, you can't help but be like, all the people in the film being like, and nowadays you can just get likes on everything. And it's like, holy shit, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's been that way since well past the late aughts, like it's pretty amazing.
Like, this is 2 years after an election that was like so hugely influenced by social media and like the fact that like baby boomers are on Facebook all the time.
Yeah.
Like, how is this the subject of the documentary, is like people not knowing that their kids could just sign up for an email without parents knowing?
Yes.
Yeah, one of the major stories was like, my son had Facebook and I didn't know.
Yeah. But son, you don't have a Facebook.
We'll talk about Tim Woda's story in just a moment. But yeah, I mean, I actually like appreciated the documentary for that tone. Like it did actually sort of create this like nostalgia for me that was like, oh, how lovely. I can remember a time when this was new. You know?
Yeah. That's what it felt like listening to the kids give their testimonials about signing up for Facebook. And I was like, dude, that was like fucking
I
17 years ago for me.
But of course there have to be people who it is all new for.
Yeah.
At least in 2018. I mean.
Sure,
Yeah.
but
Come on, not now.
Totally. But like but as you were saying, Julie, I mean, let's assume that a large swath of the people who watched this documentary voted for Trump. And like, yeah, this election was decided on like Facebook group comments and like, you know, Twitter. I mean, Donald Trump was literally like the Twitter president, you know, it's just like, it would seem to me that everyone in this demographic, even the people who are comparative Luddites, would be like well aware of the far reaching influence.
Yeah. I guess if that was my experience with the internet was the 2016 election, then I would also be terrified to find out that my children were getting on social media.
Speaking of children on social media, one of the, well, he's not a child, but one of the 21-year-olds they interview later in the film who gives a sort of youthful perspective on growing up with the internet. Direct quote I wrote down: "My friend showed me Facebook and I was like, heck yes."
So my friend showed me Facebook and I was like, heck yes, I'm going to add all my friends. Like, it's going to be so much fun.
Honestly, I do kind of remember that feeling back in 2008 or so, 2007, 2008, when, you know, that was the time. Now, you Zoomers who are listening to this, okay, let me take you back for a moment. That was a time when you could only get on Facebook if you were enrolled in college. You had to have a college
This is
email.
for the old heads.
Okay. Okay. And I remember it was starting to spread to high schools by invite, but you had to sort of be like a cool high schooler
Yeah.
who knew older people to get on. One of my friends, I think maybe, you know, she partied with the older kids, so she was the first person I know to had it. We all got it. And I mean, it was fucking over from then. Although, you know, we were on MySpace, we were on Zanga. You know, what was everyone here's first social media, not just internet? Like, what was the first way you connected with like the greater community of the internet as a whole?
Do message boards count?
Absolutely.
I used to go on like AOL chat rooms after school, just like random chat rooms.
How old?
Or like IRC message boards in like probably like 6th grade, maybe even younger.
Yeah. Like 11, 12.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
straight up the stuff that they always talk about. Like we're interacting with strange people online that they didn't know. But I was just like, I mean, I was usually, I've just been a perpetual lurker. I very rarely interact online.
Yeah.
And I don't even have social now.
That's true.
So I just like to read. I just like to glimpse into other people's lives.
Sure.
Random AOL chat rooms was the first for me too.
Yeah.
I did that. I posted on message boards too. The first thing that really captivated my imagination as like interacting with strangers based on interests and like groups and stuff was Zanga. I was a huge Zanga user in middle school. It's pre-MySpace. MySpace came not long after, but you know, Zanga would write like, you know, first period, like it sucked. Like second period, my friend was there. Like,
Yeah.
just like every day, just like leave fucking detailed. It was a very if you're not familiar with Zanga, it sort of had a Tumblr vibe. You couldn't really reshare the way you could on Tumblr, but it was sort of like blog oriented. You could join groups. You could join a maximum of 8 groups
Whoa.
that had like interests on them. But I discovered like all this like shit on Zanga. Like I this is just coming back to me, but like I was in this group. I found this group called I'm Always Cold, and I joined it because I just thought it was a funny title.
Yeah.
But I realized when I was about 13 and I looked through and I realized that it was actually like a pro Anna group. It was like an anorexia, like Zanga
wow.
group. And this is one of my first time, like and again, when you're young and you just see things on the internet, you become a voyeur. So I spent like months just like becoming a voyeur into like anorexia internet, and I learned like all this shit about like people's like food diaries and like thinspo and stuff like that.
Whoa.
So it was just, I just use this as one of the many examples of like being of that like exploratory age and starting to like get windows into people's like online experiences, not all of which was pleasant, obviously. And like, yeah, just going off on these like worlds of people's experiences. And my parents obviously had no fucking idea, you know?
This documentary is what happens when your parents do catch you
Yes.
doing that.
Yes, absolutely.
Was there any talk of Gwen Shamblin when you were looking at that stuff?
I don't know who that is.
She died recently in a freak plane accident, but
yeah.
she did something called Way Down, like WEIGH. And her whole thing is that when you're hungry, just pray to God and God will fill you up.
Oof.
She has like
rocks.
multi-part series on this.
Oh, we're doing that one.
Yeah.
We're going to do that one, I think, for a bonus episode if we
Yes.
can, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're planning to do that
Definitely.
this month. Yeah, I'm very, very curious about that.
My first online profile, I guess, was MySpace. And it
Yeah.
was all about how much I liked 24.
The
show, yeah.
That rocks. I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's so
Nice.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so cool. I mean, I'm sure I've mentioned this on the show, but like the first real thing that I got into was, of course, the White Stripes fan message board.
Oh, right.
Right.
That
yeah.
was
Right.
where I know people to this day. I'm now 31. I was about 13 when I joined. I actually got internet later than almost all the other kids. I was like 13 when we got internet in the house, 2003, and most other kids had it for a couple years before then. But my family was a late adapter, and yeah, I got into the White Stripes message board. I made a post about how I would never smoke weed in my life, and I got made fun of for like days.
You get cyberbullied.
I did. But this is, and I've said this to people, I've talked about this to people. Kids should have a message board before you're allowed to go on like Twitter or anything.
Yes.
It is
Adults
so.
should have to be on message
Yes.
boards before they can go on Twitter and Facebook.
True.
I have said this. I will say it again. You should have to do a tour of duty on a message board for at least a year before you're unleashed into like the global internet, because getting
Interesting.
cyberbullied by like 2,000 people on a White Stripes message board on a relatively anonymous account prepares you for posting cringe on Twitter and years later. So I think it's a good experience, rather than now these kids, they're fucking making TikToks. It's like the whole world like has the opportunity to find your cringe, as opposed to like a bunch of fucking like neckbeards who like garage rock music,
My first real profile was on Friendster.com.
Okay.
And I felt like on Friendster, like when a friend posted something on your profile, typically it would be like one time and they would post something really funny.
Yeah.
And it felt like at the time, like if you were going to write something and leave it there, that was going to be in print forever. And so it
Right.
like really mattered.
So you try really hard on a post is what you're trying to
Yeah,
say. It didn't feel like
totally.
throwaway. It felt like you were
No.
really like expressing yourself.
Yeah.
How old were you?
Then I was in college at that point.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So you didn't like participate in it too much when you were like in high school or things
No,
like that?
high
You
school,
weren't
high
really-
school was AOL chat rooms.
Right, right.
Just using it to talk to friends online
Yeah.
mostly.
I just remembered an AOL chat room encounter I had where I was in some room and this girl was like, any hot guys in here who surf? And I said, I surf. Not true, of course. And she said,
So you admit you're a liar?
and she said, are you hot? And I said, I don't know. And she stopped talking to me.
Whoa.
Now, obviously, this may not have been a girl. This may have
Yeah.
been a grown adult man.
Prepared
Could've
you.
been.
Prepared you for years of Grinder.
Yes, right. Yeah, absolutely.
I guess the worst place I went early on was Xbox Live playing Halo 2 as like a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
You just hear some pretty vile stuff on there.
Sure.
I'm sure it's a million times worse now.
Yeah.
Well, this could bring us to the first of the horror stories that Kirk Cameron encounters in Connect. So, throughout Connect, Kirk Cameron, of course, is looking for data on, why the internet's bad for kids, what we can do as parents, etc. And he talks with many different people on the subject. The first encounter in the movie, he's like, I saw a crazy story on the news about this guy.
Okay. Can we
please.
start a little sooner than that?
Please. Yeah.
So the way he gets into the cell phone thing is he mentions that his wife on Mother's Day, her favorite thing to do is to just go out and buy gifts for their kids because without them, she wouldn't be a mother.
Okay.
Right there, you just have this completely upside down worldview.
Yes. I will say that is being delivered in a camera shot that like makes Kirk Cameron look like he's a quarter the size of like the Jeep he's standing next to. It's like it's filmed at like this weird angle, like slightly under him, where he looks like
it's so weird. It's like it's on like a desk chair or something that they're just like pulling along as he's.
This was directed, I might add, by Caleb Price, our new favorite director. We just reviewed his short film Come Home for one of our bonus episodes, which I want to say is a tremendous piece of shit. It's a very bad short film. This movie, he's really not good at putting the camera looking at something.
His most important job.
I've got to say, now I'm not a director. I know it's very easy to like speak ill about a craft that you don't fully understand, but it appears to me that he doesn't really understand like how to make the camera look at something.
Yeah.
And I don't want to assume that this is on him or not, but they do not have the right filters on the lens.
Right.
No.
Right.
He's he's about the story. He's got a story to tell. It's about getting the whole idea across.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Not really about technology or like the look of the thing.
Right.
He's a storyteller.
He is.
So on one fateful Mother's Day, Kirk Cameron's wife decides to buy all the kids smartphones.
Right.
And Kirk is surprised to learn that they don't just want to use it as a phone. They want apps. They want games. They want to listen to music, watch movies. What?
Where he says in the film, he says, we used to go down to the music store if we wanted to listen to music.
I mean, it was so different when we were kids, right? If we wanted to go see a movie, I'd go to Blockbuster. We'd rent a movie and Be Kind Rewind. We'd give it right back to them. If we wanted an album, I'd go down to the music store. But now, I've got every song, every movie. I have access to the Library of Congress, go anywhere I want.
Now you can just do it on your phone. All the music I want to hear is just right there in front of you on the phone. Did you know that, listener, if you know this, leave us a comment, okay, on our Instagram page, because connect with us, because this is new to me, okay?
He said, kids, you want apps? Oh, sure, I'll order a round of buffalo cauliflower.
There you go.
And they're all like, Dad, no, we want apps, pointing at their phones.
Pointing at Grindr Extra. Pointing at those like the games where you have to like drill Elsa's teeth.
Parlor.
Yeah. But Dad, we want to express ourselves in an uncensored environment. We're tired of being censored by at Jack and his politically correct mafia. But you're right. This all began on Mother's Day. They get the kids the phones. The mom gets the kids the phones, and he starts to learn these things. He's watching on the news, and he hears this crazy story about a man named Tim Woda.
Mr. Tim Woda.
Now, I actually haven't looked at this website. Maybe I should right now, but he does appear to have a website. You did? Did you look at
I
it?
looked it up.
His website that in 2018, he apparently ran this website called letter U, YouKnowKids.com.
Sounds like a joke.
It sounds like a dating app to meet hot kids.
It sounds like an art student's like project.
Yes.
Like a digital media project.
Yeah, it sounds like a video art. Like
last post on YouKnowKids.com. There's 2 posts. I don't even know what this website was before. Oops, I'm a little too connected right now.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know what this website was before it was this, but there's like 2 posts. It's a blog, and the last post is epilogue and announcement. January 3rd, 2020. 10 years ago, we set out to make the digital world a safer place for kids and their families. The You Know Kids team was inspired by a personal tragedy, which I don't really know if he gets into. I kept expecting the story he told to go like,
is that the personal
south,
tragedy?
but I can't find anything else about it.
Yeah, go on.
And we applied our internet security and safety and data intelligence expertise to help moms and dads struggling with the yada, yada, yada. It ends with one single sentence. The You Know Kids story ends here, period.
What the fuck? That's so ominous.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the post before that says some website called Bark will be taking over where we leave off. Our mission to protect digital kids will live on with Bark.
Bark.com?
I think that one's like Grindr for puppy play, if I'm not mistaken.
Tim Woda's brother is like runs the whole operation.
Tim Yoda.
Yeah, Tim Yoda. Steve Woda.
So he's telling a story about his son, Baby Woda,
Yes.
also named Tim Woda.
Yes, his son is named Tim Woda. Yes.
And he gets a bill? He sees it. Does he even explain why there's a huge bill?
He says that he finds that the phone bill is like enormous, and I guess it's because his son is sending text messages.
Oh,
because he says it was like before when you had unlimited texting. So I guess
that
every
makes sense
time,
then.
I guess, but yeah, every time this kid sends a fucking text, his dad gets charged like $2.50 or whatever.
Yeah.
Great plan. You signed up for.
Yeah.
You got to bundle that stuff. You have to have a family plan.
Right.
Yeah.
That's,
I'm guessing if he lives in the neighborhood that they're shooting this in, he could afford an
Well,
unlimited data plan.
yeah, but either way, it's a surprise. He's
Yeah.
not expecting that. And then he finds out that his son is on Facebook. His son is on Facebook with an email he didn't even know about.
I didn't know his son made this email address.
And his son is friends with a man.
He finds his son's Facebook. He finds all these outgoing messages to this person who is a grown man on Facebook. And
Of
Tim,
all places.
right. And Tim, it is not good for a grown adult man to be messaging his son. And long story short, like we don't have to go through the whole story, but he goes on like a really in-depth like search, including like hunting down birth certificates and like using clues in this guy's email address to find out who this person is.
What's this guy? He's supposed to be like parenting now, and he spends all his time trying to hunt down the man who messaged his kid on Facebook.
Well, that's what's so funny about this. And like this will be a recurring theme we come to, is that like you can see the ways in this movie how like the internet has clearly like warped the way that these adults view the world. They don't see themselves as a part of it because they're talking about it like as if they have some distance from it. But like clearly, like, yeah, this guy got onto a fucking like vigilante tear of hunting down, this guy, and like clearly he spent like fucking like 40 hours per week like hunting down this man, which like again, catch the guy so he doesn't do this to other people. But it's just so funny to be like, you just imagine like the kid being like, "Yo, Dad, do you want to play football?" And he's like, "Not now. Daddy's hunting down your predator."
Right. He was far less prepared for Facebook than his son was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Some choice quotes from this segment are when Mr. Woda finds the predator's mom for some reason and calls him and says, "Send this message to your son. This is Tim Woda. I'm gonna get you."
Called his mom and said, "Hey, is this person there?" And she said, "No, you just missed him." And I said, "Could you deliver a message for me?" And she said, "Sure." And I said, "Well, can you tell him that Tim Woda called and tell him I gotcha?"
I love that moment. I also liked when he's like, "So I have the same name as my son. So I find this, so I call this guy's number and the caller ID says Tim Woda. He thinks I'm my son and he's psyched."
I have the same name as my son. So I called the guy. So when he sees my son's phone number on his caller ID,
He thinks it's your son.
He thinks it's my son. He's psyched.
I love that part because it's just he's short of saying, "And listen, my son is hot. Okay, if I were a predator, I would love to groom my son because this is a hot kid. Okay."
The way Kirk responded to, he's like, "So he thinks he's him." You're like,
so.
you could just change your contact info for 1 minute.
Yeah,
like, I don't.
Yeah.
Also, the way he cracked the code, Like the fucking
That was pretty
the
fun.
birthday
actually.
being in the username.
I will say I have done stuff like that.
Put your birthday.
Well,
in
no,
your
I mean
username,
like find out shit like that. Like
Oh,
you're
yeah,
able to
yeah.
like use like clues in people's like
it just blows my mind that you're going to be like a
Username.
fucking child predator and you go online and you like
Right.
can't think far enough ahead. Like maybe don't put anything that identifies who
Right.
I am in my username. The guy put his fucking like,
Okay.
birthday in it.
Yeah.
I want to say this. I used to work at the Apple store. It was my first job out of college.
Yeah. I'm not giving advice to child predators, by the way.
Right. If you're a child predator, I want you to just turn off this podcast right
Yeah.
now. Okay. There's a great podcast called Pod Safe America that you might really enjoy listening to. I might cut that. But I will say I worked at the Apple store and I can't tell you how many people told me they were like, oh yeah, for all my passwords, I use my pet's name and the house number of my house. I could seriously, at least 10 people said that to me as if it was like a brand new idea. It's just so funny, like how like legitimately, if you just like find someone and like ask them, oh, like what's your pet's name?
Yeah.
And like, you know where they live. Like, I swear to God, you can like hack into all their shit. Like, it's insane how predictable that is. I can't believe it.
I heard that it's pretty irrelevant what you put in a password nowadays with the
That
way
makes
like
sense.
people can figure out passwords just
Yeah.
using like an algorithm that runs through every combination.
That makes sense.
So really the only way to do it is just type in a bunch of random letters and change it every time you log in.
Yeah, which to be fair, yeah, that's
Yeah.
just the way to do it. So Kirk learns from Tim Woda that that anything can happen to your kids online. A grown man could groom them, and this man was apparently a lacrosse coach and a teacher in their area.
Well, that's your first giveaway right there.
Yeah.
Is that he's a lacrosse coach. That should have been a red flag just in general.
Thank God that lacrosse coach was so connected on the internet because
Right.
like 40 years ago, he never would have been caught.
Exactly.
That's a really good
Well,
point.
he wouldn't have existed 40 years ago because, that guy probably got into the internet, discovered pornography, and he was just looking for the next rush.
Right.
As
Mhm.
We'll
Right.
hear from the later guest on this.
which we will. But
Documentary.
also, to another like recurring point in this is that like absolutely the internet has created more avenues for like contacting kids, grooming kids, doing things like that, pretending to be someone you're not, catfishing, things that part didn't exist. But like there have always been child predators, and perhaps if you want to look at it like a silver lining, there are more ways to like track down like obscure pieces of information. Like, this guy was able to go on like vigilante justice using like passwords and usernames and like things like that. Like he was able to find this guy, which may not have been the case in the past,
Yeah.
Let's move on though. I definitely want to bring up guest Kathy Koch. We mentioned her sort of in the beginning of this. Kirk spends a lot of time talking to Kathy. She is the author of a book called Screens and Teens. And her biggest contribution to this documentary is that she provides Kirk with 5 cultural lies that kids are told nowadays. And these lies are enforced by negligent parenting and by the messages that kids receive when they're online.
At the beginning of this, was that when Kirk was saying that kids have supercomputers now and kids can find anything they want to see with the click of a button?
Yes, that sounds about
And I
right.
knew that my phone was not just a phone, and I was giving my kids, in truth, a computer. It's a supercomputer. I mean, actually, there's more computing power in this little device than they used to put a man on the moon. And my kids can see anything that they want to see with the touch of a button.
That made me mad because as somebody who seeks out obscure movies, it still takes a lot of time to find the things I want to watch sometimes.
Yes, it does.
I was jealous of whoever he was talking about.
Yes. Also, Google just like doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Like Google doesn't like show you what you want to see anymore.
That's true. That is frustrating.
Yeah. But Maybe we could go through, notably Kirk and Kathy have been positioned maybe by director Caleb Price. They're sitting so close to each other that their like knees and legs are completely touching for some reason, which is like very frightening.
I could not think about that. Or I could not think about that after I saw that from that point forth. I was like, why, Caleb, why did you make them do this?
It's so weird. And I thought it was because he didn't think he would get them in the shot, but there's like so much like room on the sides for them to spread out just a tiny fucking bit. So they're not like playing footsie during this entire interview. Let's go through Kathy's Cultural Lies by Kathy Koch, author of Screens and Teens. Let's see what we think about these. Cultural line number 1.
Masks are effective.
Cultural line number 1. I am the center of my universe.
So 5 lies. Number 1, I am the center of my own universe.
Bingo.
Right?
How many kids do you meet? That's exactly.
Yeah.
I am the center of the world revolves around me.
Now, Kathy enforces this by saying, kids look for the likes. They post something, they look at their phone to see if the likes are coming in. If they don't get the likes, they post it again.
The irony of like the people from the generation above ours telling us to be less self-centered.
Yes.
This whole documentary is so repulsive.
That is definitely a talking point I wanted to hit during this. Yes.
The most insane projection of these people throughout this entire documentary about like internet's evil, internet's bad, you're gonna get hurt.
Yes. No, you're right. The idea that the generation that this is like ostensibly targeted to has not been fully consumed by the internet machine and by the same like points of stimulus of like getting likes, getting in fights, getting responded to. I mean, it's like their whole lives.
Getting
like,
catfished.
Yes.
Constantly.
Yes.
Falling for fucking scams
all the time.
Nonstop.
All the time, because they're like 12-year-olds in the fact that just by the nature of, you know, them being exposed to the internet, but like they have no internet literacy in general. Of course, I'm speaking generally. They have no internet literacy. They do literally look at something and think that like it's real. Like the thing that pops up on like the early internet screens, it's like, you have 3 new messages. And they're like, oh, wow, I have new messages. Like that's like the way that any of this is received for them.
It's just fucking, it's like they have the same level of internet literacy as the 6-year-old.
Yes.
But the difference between them and the 6-year-old is that the 6-year-old's going to learn.
Exactly.
And these fucking people are like, yo, you put your hands in front of your face and you're gone forever. You'll never figure it out.
A documentary about object permanence from Kirk Cameron. He's like, and we need to tell these kids, you know, when I put my hands in front of my eyes, you're just gone. Okay. And you're not coming back.
Okay. You're not the center of the universe. Okay. I could erase you very easily.
By the way, as she's saying that, they're like showing her website at the bottom of the screen. CelebrateKids.com.
Oh, okay. I need to check it out. Why are all these people's websites fucking like...
They sound like Predator hangouts.
Yes. Sounds like a Predator tips message board.
For almost all of the people in interviews, they show their handles too for either Facebook or Twitter or whatever.
Right.
Everybody is this. It's either their first and their last name and then like the number 1, or it's their last name period, their first name and the number 1.
Yes.
It's like, where do they get these handles?
Yeah, I couldn't
No
tell.
wonder these people don't know how to fucking use the internet.
And if they don't think they're the center of the universe, why use the number 1?
Exactly.
That's so true.
I mean, use your
Yeah.
birthday or something, you know?
Yeah, just listen, just use your address or use your birthday like a normal pedophile. Don't put number 1. You think you're the best pedophile? Come on. Cultural line number 2. I deserve to be happy all the time.
Second lie is I have to be happy all the time. Or I deserve to be happy all the time, right? The happiness lie, I call it. Everything's new. Everything's now. This entitlement thing, right? They wait in line at midnight when the store's going to open with the new device or the new game or the new movie. Like they're going to run out, but they have to have it right now.
Now, Kathy later contrasts.
What kind of lie is that?
Listen.
You don't deserve to be happy. What is the message they're trying to send in this documentary?
Well, her solution, she proposes a solution. I found her solution even a bit more confounding. She says, we can have joy, but not happiness.
Oh, okay. What? This is the
Don't think about it. Don't.
This is just that fucking loser mindset of the baby boomer generation.
Yeah.
We're victims of their own trauma and abuse.
Right.
But they just accept it and let the world walk all over them, saying like, you can't be happy all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh no, we can't have universal health care because you just can't do it.
No.
Fucking losers.
Your job's a bad deal. Too bad.
Yeah.
Have joy anyway.
You're supposed to go through all the horrible things that I had to go through to have my miserable existence.
Listen, I work hard making $400,000 a year somehow selling one air conditioner unit like a month. I don't know how that's possible, but somehow they're all doing it all the time. Number 3, I must have a choice.
Line number 3, I must have choice. Think about everything you use has a drop-down menu.
She says, where's my drop-down menu for grandma's house? Oh, that fucks.
It's so funny that this is like an adult's understanding of what I don't even think this person ever talked to any kids or anything. No child was consulted in the creation of this list.
No, and they gave an example of a choice, and it was, do you want chicken or steak for dinner?
Right.
It's because they're so stupid. They can't understand the difference between the internet and the real world. So they just assume a kid can't either.
Right. The solution she provides to that one, the cultural solution, she says, choice is a privilege and you can handle choices when you have wisdom. So just something to keep in mind. Cultural line number 4, I have my own authority.
What's the 4th line?
I am my own authority. Well, like on social media, there's thousands of experts, right? So I might as well be one too. But when I was a child, if I had a question, I left my bedroom and I found my mom and my dad. Now kids can ask Siri on the phone a question.
Okay.
All right.
She contrasts this by saying, no, God is the ultimate authority. And actually one of the weirdest like quick moments in the whole documentary, she says, you know, when your kid is seeing you make a decision, is the scripture open? So I thought that was interesting. It was like, if you're like a Christian parent or even just a Christian person in general, you should be like literally like, if you have a decision to make, do you want steak or chicken for dinner, for instance?
Sure.
You should like have the Bible open.
Yeah, have the Bible app open.
Yes. Yes. Go to the Old Testament where it talks about which animals are clean or unclean. And when you go to Chipotle and they say, do you want carnitas or whatever? And you can say, you fucking like you're in line. You're in line at like the buffet and you have like the like
Control F carnitas.
The book
Bible
of
app.
Judges open or whatever.
I got the only God's truth you need to know when it comes to dealing with your social media is that you can click the little button on your iPhone 3 times and it lowers the contrast. So you can look at it in bed and won't hurt your eyes as much.
That is very good.
That's the only thing you need to know about using the internet.
That's good advice.
Documentary
Sound
could have
advice.
been fucking 35 seconds long.
Yeah.
However, God is the ultimate authority, so
Yes.
I'm not going to listen to you, Julian.
Yes. Cultural line number 5.
Well, I'm the center of the universe, so
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is cultural line number 5. Number 5, information is all that matters, so I don't need teachers.
The 5th lie, information is all that matters, so I don't need teachers. We were raised to respect teachers, whether that be school teachers, Sunday school teachers, Girl Scout leaders, if you will, all right? So these kids believe that they're their own authority. So for that reason, they really don't need to be teachable, which is one of the reasons that they're not studying and parents are probably really struggling with them to be academically engaged.
Oh yeah, this is the one where they started talking about how they respected and loved teachers so much.
Yes. She believes that kids think that yeah, I have information. Yeah, I don't. Therefore, they don't respect authority. They don't respect anyone who like would choose to like, streamline this information. I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. But also, if your teacher isn't giving you information, then you're not going to respect them.
Right.
But
No.
their job is to give you information.
Right.
Also, teachers can give you information and also be unworthy of your respect
That is true
Absolutely.
through the manner in which they give you the.
too. That is true too.
I mean, this is like,
Yeah.
like they just loved every fucking teacher that they just
Yes.
loved going to school as a kid.
Yes.
We loved going to school. All my teachers were so good. That's why I don't know how to use the internet and I'm scared of everything.
right.
I was so prepared for the real world.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also there is something to be said for the fact that like, I mean, you really can like teach yourself anything online.
Why the fuck do I have to learn long division? I
Right.
can just like Google it,
Right.
There is a point to that. There is a truth to that.
Yes. I mean, I would say, definitely like, pushing your mind is like a good exercise. It's like going to the gym for your mind. Like I could definitely still see an argument. But yeah, I mean, you're right. For most people, yeah, if you can efficiently use the technology and you do have good literacy for it, then yeah, you don't need to learn how to take the cosine of a fucking angle or whatever the fuck. I don't even remember that shit.
Yeah, it's also like, you can continue learning after you go to school.
Right.
Like you're saying, like by skimming Wikipedia articles.
Yes. In fact, I mean, we all, and this is a big thing that like the boomers don't fully understand is like, and this isn't all their fault. This is just like the nature, but like we have all been conditioned to know that interfaces, that information like constantly changes. Like we're so used to like updates being released, like things like that. Like, and it's not just like knowing how something works. It's like having the understanding that like the thing that I'm doing now, like the button may be in a different position, like in a week.
Yeah.
Like, oh, where's the edit button now? Like it's like different.
This is just my day job now. Is having to interact with people who don't know how to use a fucking like don't comprehend just how a computer can work.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what they expect when they go into a Zoom meeting.
Right. I know it can be really hard. I know.
Yeah.
My mom isn't like very computer literate. She tries very hard, but it's like there is like a function. There's a type of like screen literacy that she just like doesn't fully understand.
Right.
At the same time, when you're in a Zoom meeting and you do this now like every day for a year, let's say you're like one of the people, the older men you interact with at work, it's like there's a button that says leave. Like you can like look on the screen and you're like, okay, the goal I want to accomplish is I want to leave. And you just look out the screen and there's a red button that says leave on it. And it's like, oh, there it is. Like you really can, like what a lot of people don't understand is like you can like look at it, and in most cases, especially nowadays with like pretty efficient interface design, it's like the question you're trying to answer is like right in front of you. You just have to like pay attention to it.
There's just some type of like lack of either evolution or a degradation of their brain where it's like, it's like trying to deal with a freaking. It's like dealing with a monkey that sees its own reflection and just gets angry and wants to attack it.
Yeah.
When I'm there like, oh, do you see the mute button in the corner? It's the little microphone that says mute underneath it. And they're like, I don't have that button.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't have that button.
Yes.
And then like you wait 5 seconds and they're like, oh, I found it.
Yep.
And there's oh yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. It's just like,
yes. I had that all the time. I used to work tech support. All the time. Just like, like they get mad at you.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's just not the case. And I'm like, no.
Being stupid.
Yeah. And I'll just be like, like, okay, now at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, you're gonna want to click on menu or like what. I'm just like saying random shit, but they'll be like, not like you said, they'll be like, no, it's not there.
Yeah.
In my head, I'll be like,
pal.
I gotta tell you, like, I'm pretty familiar with this program, and like, I'm pretty sure it's there. Like, why don't you take another look? And you're right. We'll start doing. I'll be like, okay, well, let's try something else, and then like 5 minutes later, they'll be like, oh yeah, so I should just click on menu, right? And you're like, yeah.
That's what this whole documentary is.
Yeah,
is people, instead of getting accepting the fact that they are wrong and do not understand something, they instead get mad at the other people using it, saying like, no, you're using it wrong.
Yes. So, you know, a bunch of other really cool interviews in this. We don't have to go through like everybody, at least in depth. He does talk to a neuroscientist.
What was
a
his,
neurosurgeon?
What was his special?
His name is Dr. His name is Dr. Ian Armstrong.
Let's go over some of his points he made before we reveal what exactly he's like a specialist.
Why don't you do that?
Okay, so he and my high school history teacher are of the same belief, and I guess this means it's true because it came from a neurosurgeon, that if you start looking at pornography, then you will be forever chasing the next more intense thrill until ultimately you murder someone.
Right. Yeah, in the documentary, now your history teacher you've mentioned on the show directly did say you will go toward murder.
Yes.
In this film, they do not completely say that. There's like an element of like, oh, that would sound crazy if I said that. But I mean, that is essentially what he said. Like he was like, you will keep searching for the next thrill.
One of the things that happens when you look at pornography and the brain responds with dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter that is linked to reward and pleasure. The more that you do it, it takes more and more stimulation to get a similar response in the brain. But to get that same dopaminergic response, that same sort of high, if you will, that they got early on, they've had to move along, just like in drugs. You start with a certain dose of cocaine and you have to move up. Your body gets habituated.
This is a common anti-porn message. In that film, The Saber, we watched toward the beginning of this podcast with our friend Dimitri Simakis. The Saber, they also say, hey, my brother started watching porn, then he got into illegal porn.
Mm-hmm.
Which means what? Like Mr. Hands?
Yeah.
Like the Mr. Hands video?
One man, one jar.
Right. Kids in the Sandbox.
Yeah, talk about fucking learning about the internet at a young age.
Yeah, the fact that like in high school,
that we can
like
reference these
people
things.
in like high school band would be like, yo, when you go home tonight, look for Kids in the Sandbox.
Yeah.
Like people would like say that to each other. Be like, yo, have you ever been to tubgirl.com?
You know how you could, how you can like hyperlink stuff and like you type in.
Change the URL.
Yeah,
like change the title of the link. Yeah.
I used to set my away message to snow delay tomorrow, and it would have like a link because people would put links to like the local news channel that would announce the snow delays, and I would link to like Lemon Party.
Oh my
That's
God,
a
of course you
good. That's good for the times.
So terrible.
That's really funny. I love that.
I'm lucky I didn't have some fucking kid's dad tracking me down, searching my birth certificate.
I know. Well, that's the thing. It was the fucking Wild West, man. Like it really was. Like we had so much fun. That's the problem with these kids these days. More than anything, it's not even like the internet's gotten so fucked up. It's like you will not really fully understand what a mostly unmoderated internet looked like.
I would come back to so many messages that just said "fuck you."
That's pretty funny. Oh man.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I could go down to the basement for 12 hours a day and run around on a web page.
Yep.
Scrape up my knees and
not a parent in sight.
Not a parent in sight.
No. And we had fun.
Sure, a couple of us didn't make it.
Yeah. So that's what this neuroscientist says. He says you're going to move on to illegal porn. Essentially, he says that.
Yeah.
So therefore he must know about these things, right? He's a neuroscientist.
Neurosurgeon
A
specifically.
neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
He's a neurosurgeon.
Yeah, Scott, you looked it up.
Sure. So he specializes in the treatment of cervical and lumbar spine injuries.
Huh.
But he is a
Spinal cord
teacher, and
expert.
we must respect him.
I do respect him.
Yeah.
Sir, I may not agree with you, but I do respect you. But yeah, love that. I mean, that's also the very like Trumpian, which is also just like the boomer like internet mindset of like it's like the email forward. It's like a respected neuroscientist like once said, or like just the idea that like, oh yeah, my neuroscientist friend told me like which stock to buy or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably the best guy in the movie to ask about how the brain works.
Sure, he's closer.
Yeah.
You know what it reminded me of was when remember coronavirus?
I do.
When that first started, there was those two doctors from like the urgent care in Bakersfield who were like, here's why the CDC's numbers are a lie. And they put like a 40-minute video explaining.
This guy's from Bakersfield too.
Yeah, what the fuck's going on?
He could have been one of them.
Corn is from Bakersfield too.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those guys.
Right.
But yeah, it was like that thing where like, oh yeah, it says doctor next to their name. So doctor's a doctor. You know everything.
Right. That's certainly the case here with Dr. Ian Armstrong. He says 50% of teens are addicted to social media. He also says you can look at pornography on there. They go on to interview a couple kids who have
weird porn thing that was like they're just flirting with,
right?
Like the porn addiction, and like it's such a strange thing that they kept hinting at, but then like would go over to like something else,
right? They didn't like want to fully like get into it. They then go on to interview a couple like young adults, like 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds. I read one of the quotes earlier. I will repeat. My friend showed me Facebook, and I was like, "Heck yes!" But these young adults have spent their lives on the internet, and they have been bullied. They have gotten mean comments. Even people who don't know me say your profile is dumb.
And some people that I didn't even know who they were, like just telling me just your profile's dumb, like just all that. And I would just be like, dang, like I'm just getting it from people I don't even know now. Like, what the heck?
I mean, I thought kids were mean when I was in school, but it's fucked.
What do we think? I will say everyone who has ever left a less than glowing comment on like any of the podcast social media, I will be swatting you like immediately.
You'll be doxxed at the end of this episode.
I'm going to call your mom and I'm going to say, hey, I've got a message for Bible Hater 41. I'm going to get you.
For mean person number 4.
Yeah, in the film, all the mean comments are like the names say like mean person 3.
Yeah,
you are ugly.
I mean, cyberbullying's real. I feel bad for people who like, you live in the fucking middle of nowhere and can't find anybody to relate to in real life. And
yeah,
I mean, the internet is real life. They keep acting like there's like this distinction between like you're not like there's this weird mindset that this documentary has that like, and like a lot of the people they interview reinforce this belief that like every person you interact with online is fake. They're either not real or they're someone pretending to be somebody else.
Yes.
It's like there are genuine friendships and you talked about
a really good point.
And Kirk Cameron sets it up as like he says there's different worlds. There's the real one where you and I interact in. There's a spiritual world, and then there's this internet world. And it's like, no, the internet world's part of one.
Yeah.
Yes. That's actually like giving it so much power. The way he phrases
it's another realm.
It really, it's like Sheol or something.
Yeah.
Like that's wild. No, he really does. Also, I love his other world comment about the spiritual world. He's talking with the baritone voice pastor about like there is a battle between good and evil happening on the spiritual realm. There's also one happening on a news story called like Dr. Fauci's emails leaked. There is a battle happening on there as well. I don't know if it's between good and evil. It's really hard to exactly pinpoint where the polls on that are. But
does he think like talking on the phone is like a separate realm?
Yes.
Or like satellite TV?
Well, one of the things the lady, the Screens and Teens lady, one of her recommendations was Or one of the things she said we don't do anymore is we don't sit and watch TV with our
That's
kids.
so fucking
Which is
crazy.
so insane to think that, like, oh yeah, that's much healthier to do. Just sit and watch television with your kid.
TV stresses me out. Like to look, I'm talking about like a cable TV. Like
Yeah.
to looking at it, like stresses me
Come
out.
sit, watch Fox and Friends with your father.
Yes, that. And also just like, you're fucking just like browsing TV and then browsing TV. You're like watching TV and then a commercial break happened and it's like, have you ever been sexually abused? Or like the commercials that are like, you know, the senior citizens that like, you know, I fall
Are you a
in
victim
and I
of
can't
gang
get out.
stalking?
Right. It's just like, holy shit. Like this is
Yeah.
like fucking psychic terrorism. Man.
More and more homeless people have AK-47s and they're
Right,
coming
right,
for
right.
your home.
Yeah, all the news stories about like, oh man, like when my like Grammy lived with us, you know, she would just like watch daytime TV all day and it was all fucking like shock stories, like
Yeah.
abuse at a nursing home after this, and she would go, oh. Legitimately, I'll always remember the sound.
It's
of my
the same
Grammy,
shit
like,
as, like,
gasping at the TV.
It's just one of us sitting and watching live leak videos or something.
No, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Except it cuts back and forth to like two people basically in a void talking about nothing, smiling with makeup on, and then
Yes.
cutting to back to the live leak videos, just
Yes.
back and forth.
yeah, right. Okay, no, that's such a, you know, even if you're gonna like, you have to make at least like 2 clicks to watch an ISIS beheading video.
Yeah.
Whereas you can just basically get shown one on TV just by sitting there.
Yeah.
Like normally, like the live lead things don't just like pop up.
I watched a video on YouTube yesterday that was a news channel's because I would remember when there was that huge biker shootout like 4 years ago or something.
I actually don't.
No.
So there was like a biker convention at a Twin Peaks restaurant, which is like a less classy
right.
Hooters.
Yeah.
Right.
And there was a huge shootout there, and I wanted to see if there was any like security camera footage because I just wanted to see what like a giant biker footage inside of a chain restaurant looked like.
That does sound awesome.
And the first video I found was just a like local news affiliate being like, now we have, or like a week ago, 170 bikers were arrested when a gang shootout took place at a Twin Peaks restaurant in Texas. Now we have footage of that shootout, and we have to warn you, it is disturbing. And it's like, shut the fuck, don't even put the fucking, you know why you're showing this. Because
Exactly.
everybody wants to see the fucking bikers shoot
right,
at
right,
each
right.
other.
Of course.
It's like, don't pretend to like act like, oh, it's so terrible.
Right. Of course. That's the whole.
That's
yeah.
the thing. The live leak, when you watch live leak videos, you're like, yeah, I know this is fucked up. I
Yeah.
don't need to be have somebody like emotionally imprint
Yes.
on me like, oh, you must be scared when you watch this.
Well, that's
It's
just-
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know I'm supposed to be fucking scared.
Well, that's what's so funny about TV, and I'm far from the first person to point this out, but yeah, like it shows you the shocking footage, the titillation that you want, but it allows you this feeling of like a moral detachment of like watching. I'm just watching this for like news purposes. Like you, the gentle viewer, you may be disturbed by
Yeah.
this. Like it gives you the emotional out to say like, oh yeah, I'm the good person here. I'm just watching this because it's news. Anyway. The TV is fucking like psycho shit. Like the
Yeah.
internet's so much better.
Yeah, but I
Um,
guess going back
yeah.
to the point about the like internet not being the real world,
Yes.
is that like a lot of these, my takeaway from this documentary was that a lot of these people who like stop their kids from using the internet or are like shocked by what they see, like they're probably like have no way of relating to their kid and their kid has no way to relate to them. So they're just like, I have to cut off everything I don't understand about what you're doing.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that you can fit into what I think you should be doing.
Yes.
Right. So just instead of putting out a front to random people on the internet, just direct that towards me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also like I really want to hit on that point that you said about how there's so much insistence in this documentary that like, and you know, your friends, the friends that your son or daughter has online, they're not his real friends. Like, you know, that's not, it's like, you know, I get what they're saying. Like, yeah, you might not like, you know someone super well, but that is what is so amazing about the internet. You connect even in like high school, middle school, like you start like interacting with people who are like sometimes like too shy to talk in school, or like you connect on this like one arcane interest that you would have never known about.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Everyone I know, it seems like, knows so many people, or even if they don't, it's like there's internet communities where they are like participating member of in some capacity. Like, yeah, you might not have people's phone numbers and like get lunch with them, but like there are still places where like you can be a part of a conversation and like your expertise and your knowledge about something is like valuable in some kind of conversation. It's like, it is insane to brush that off as like not real. It's just insane. Right.
Yeah, and the reason somebody might connect with a stranger that they shouldn't online is because it's not always that easy to connect with somebody on a specific level in person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And also, like, I think the person who's like engaging online can is allowed to gauge like the level, because like you could be like, yeah, this is my friend online, but it's not like a person I would want to meet in real life. It's not like somebody I would like want to hang out with. Yeah, right. But there's still somebody I know online.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And, you know, I will say, I mean, like, speaking for myself, like, literally, like, every friend I have now is I either met online or... Oh, can you get me a beer, Julian? Yeah. Thank you. Literally every friend I have now, I either met online or I met through someone I met online. Like literally every single relationship I have in my life right now, it's like so real. It's important in a way to be like, to be creating these connections. Like, you know, I certainly don't think a parent should let their kid run amok online. You should have a lot of conversations and you should be, you know, have some knowledge about what your kid is doing. But like, I think you should encourage your kids to be connecting online in some capacity with some kind of supervision. I don't have the answers, but
it seems like it would be more beneficial to guide your kids in the way that they go about connecting online instead of being like, don't do it till you're older.
Right. Yeah. There's no like two-way understanding in this documentary. It's still like, of course, because it's fucking Kirk Cameron. It's like the parent is the ultimate authority. It's specifically the male parent is the ultimate authority.
Right. It's if your kid has a specific curiosity about anything, you need to engage them within that curiosity, not just be like, don't think about that or look in that direction.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then they're just going to get into it on their own anyway.
Well, you know, sort of a good example about that, like not real two-way thinking is they interview this couple, Evan and Kat. Now, they met on Facebook. Now, that's a big thing that this documentary introduces. This is a married, devoted couple that met on Facebook. They are very concerned about the images their children see. Mm-hmm. And they sort of talk from this whole thing about, we need to prevent our kids from going online. It's like, well, I mean, you know, obviously they reveal this in the documentary as like a point of sort of humor, but like they met on Facebook, you know, like obviously this is real.
They also make a point to say that one of their daughters has no friends.
Yeah. Yes, that's why I brought it up. They're one of the ones who are like, our daughter, she has no friends. I'm like, it's Saturday night. What are you doing? Nothing.
Yeah, her unwillingness to believe that her daughter could possibly have no friends. Mm-hmm. Except for people that she talks to online. That is a very real experience for a lot of people.
That's very true too.
But it's just like...
she's probably playing video games with her friends every Saturday night.
Right.
Yeah. And there's also like, you know, you're a child. There are times where it can feel like you have no friends.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Been there. I'm sure many people have been there. This woman, Kat, also says that she saw a Playboy picture when she was like 9 years old.
Real quick.
Yeah, please.
Can you imagine if you like told your parents that you met your fiance on Facebook and they were just like, look, that fiance of yours is not a real fiance.
You don't know her. And you're like, well, we've like dated for 2 years now. Like, we don't know. Like, I know her.
It's not real.
Everyone you meet on Facebook is like, like one of those like the Nigerian phone scams that they profile on Dr. Phil.
As soon as the server goes down, they're just going to disintegrate to like ones and zeros.
No. So this woman, Kat, she testifies that when she was about 8 years old, she was shown a picture of a Playboy model, like in a magazine. This then led to her working in the sex industry from the ages of 18 through 20.
When I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, a family member had showed me a Playboy image, and it was this beautiful blonde naked woman. And he said to me, "This is what you're gonna look like when you grow up." But when I turned 18, I kind of looked like that girl. And so from 18, 19, 20, I worked in the sex industry.
One single image, one single time.
Well, I mean, that has got to be a very traumatic moment for, or at least going to leave an imprint on a 8-year-old when an older man shows you a Playboy and says, "This is going to be you someday."
Yeah.
That
does
is
sound like a
super
very
weird.
horrible encounter.
Yeah. And then she like goes to reiterate that like, that was it. That was the only negative thing that happened in my life.
Right.
And so when I became of age, I realized that I kind of looked like that model and decided to go into the sex industry.
Right.
And it's like that. I feel like you're leaving a lot of details about your life out. If like that was you turned 18 and you like were just like, well, I guess I'll become that lady that I saw in that one image when I was 8 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, don't want to armchair therapist this person, but would imagine that there's a lot of other things that factor into making that decision.
There had to have been. Yeah, we don't know her
Especially
life.
if you remember that moment so vividly in your life and you're like, I contribute this dark time in my life to this single moment. That
And nothing else, just that.
Yeah.
So I would like to now move into like sort of the final leg of the documentary, which is the Kirk Cameron dramatization. Is there anything we wanted to mention before that? Any standout moments?
Well, just like following up on the cat.
Right.
She brought that up because she found she didn't say what this program was. She was like, I found a program on my child.
I found a hidden app.
A hidden app on my daughter's phone that had photos that, you know, they weren't like the ones that I was in or that were shown to me, but like, give it 5 years, it'll go down that path.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. This is just like a lot of people need to seek professional help in this documentary.
Yeah.
And don't just like assume things about your children.
Yeah. And even just her terminology too. This is such a classic boomer thing, saying like there's a hidden app.
Yeah.
Like I had so many people when I was working tech support saying to me like, and you know, there's a guy I know from work and he's a white hat hacker. Like people would just like have these like get these ideas about things. It's very interesting. There is a mysticism that like the boomers attribute to like, you know, technology. Like when I heard hidden app, I was like, is she in some weird like one of those like Korean like Telegram like porn channels or something?
Right.
Like no, I think she just means that like
it was in
she
a
was
folder
talking
on
to
her phone.
Yeah,
right. It made a folder that said not apps.
Yeah. Right. Or like
it's like the idea that my it's like you know, my infamous murder cousin, which we can go over someday on this podcast.
I could save that.
But he was like, he believed that he was like working for Trump's campaign or like working for Milo because he was like retweeting his stuff.
I see.
Wow.
That's like that crazy, like, do not know how the world works mindset when then you introduce social media where you're just like, yeah, hidden apps. Yeah, I'm actually, you know, I talked to the president the other day. I sent him a direct message on Twitter, and
that's
I'm waiting to hear back from him.
That's what's so crazy about this documentary is like that's the thing is that a lot what we were saying about how a lot of these subjects don't really realize how entrenched they are. The same woman who says, "Oh, my daughter doesn't have any real friends; they're just Instagram friends," will say, "And yeah, and you know, I was sending President Trump this article that I had written." Meaning, like you know, she like replied, and no one says that in the documentary, but I'm just saying, like this is like the type of thing that you'll find this person.
These
saying.
people are allowed to assume lots of things about other people, so we can assume things about them.
Right. But yeah, there's so much. I mean, I really recommend everyone watch this documentary on Tubi. About an hour 10. It's like super easy to watch. It's free on Tubi. You don't even need to sign up for an account. We love Tubi.tv, folks. Don't we love our Tubi?
Love it almost as much as we love Circle, brought to you by Disney.
Okay, that'll be the final thing we have. I will say there's a big Chick-fil-A product placement thing in this movie.
Yeah.
There's a whole scene of him driving through Chick-fil-A and saying, let me get a chicken sandwich. He gets the Chick-fil-A. He eats it with his kids at the beach as an example of what a good family looks like. I want to say the final thread of this documentary, which I think is like a really excellent summary of like the problem with this documentary, is that it ends with this fucking insane dramatization of Kirk Cameron, who now has like a big beard and a shaved head.
He looks like Kratos from God of War.
Yes.
Or Matthew McConaughey in Reign of Fire.
And he is enacting this crazy fantasy of him being like, I'm a dad and I'm going to fight the devil.
Yeah.
And I'm going to fight a predator who's in my daughter's phone.
If the devil wants to come knocking on my door, looking for my children, he's gonna find out real quick he came to the wrong house. 'Cause there's a warrior inside of me that he doesn't want to mess with.
This is also a guy who, when he meets with the pastor and the church, like, says that there is, in fact, an invisible war between good and evil happening all the time.
And it's on the internet.
Like, and that pastor has a great voice, too. He really does sound like a narrator for a fantasy.
Yeah. That pastor's really cool. We didn't even get to talk about him, but there's this pastor named
Ken Graves.
Ken Graves. Yeah, he rocks.
It is through Jesus Christ. It is through the accomplishment of Christ upon the cross that there is victory for us, that there is a means for us to not be at the mercy of this predator.
Ken Graves, come on the pod. I know you're listening.
But yeah, this it seemed like it was a cut from another movie, maybe perhaps an unfinished product from what's the name of the director? Caleb Price.
Yeah, so it ends with this dramatization basically that like it doesn't seem to serve much purpose other than just like having Kirk live out like this weird warrior fantasy. But yeah, he says there is a warrior inside of me. And he's like doing this training seminar. He's doing pull-ups. He's like doing push-ups. He's holding a battle axe.
And this is intercut with like weird, like British school children looking off into like a foggy farmland.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Clearly
man?
stock footage.
Yeah.
And
then we see these rumblings underground. There's obviously something going on in a cave.
It's growling.
And there's this forced shaky cam that you would put in like post-production. Yes. And it obviously has a big monster footprint.
Yes. Okay. So this is what I thought like really illuminated the uselessness of this documentary to me. So what Kirk was doing there, he was using digital media to aestheticize himself, to like create this like authenticity. It's like staged authenticity of like, I am a warrior. I'm going to use this digital media and mass media to show people I am a warrior. There's nothing different from that and like your TikTok videos where someone like role plays as like they're a cop themselves, but they do this TikTok video with like they do a TikTok dance to show like I am like a tough cop who like doesn't mean, you know, who like I don't take shit, like I mean business.
It was also similar to any military ad from like the past 20 years.
Yes. And it's just so funny because in this whole documentary, which is all about how like digital media and mass communication like is not real, like the only thing he can think to do to combat this is like put on this fake performance, this like obviously fake performance, but we still, the audience, are supposed to construe as like real toughness. That is like the combat to it. Like that's like the solution to it is like your kids are play acting. You're play acting as like a warrior daddy. It's just it's all the same thing. It's just like so ineffectual, you know?
And he fights and kills the monster from the end of Batman vs Superman.
Right. Which also kind of, I have not seen that, but it actually kind of reminded me, like you said about military commercials, kind of reminded me of the Marine commercial, the Slay the Dragon.
Yeah.
Which we also saw in anti-porn film, The Saber. So it's another sort of like aesthetic through line through these Christian films.
I want to point out he fights this fiery demon with a rake. He was like holding a rake.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It was really weird because he had like this big knife thing for a little bit, and then they cut to like a wide shot, and he was holding a rake.
Yeah. So yeah, Kirk Cameron ends this documentary play acting Warrior Daddy, but the final thing, which was I was legitimately blown away by this. I did not know this was coming. The whole movie is an ad.
Yeah,
it is an ad for Circle by Disney. What is Circle?
I don't really know. I think it was like a cube.
It's like a white cube.
Ironically, it's a cube.
Yeah, it is definitely a white cube.
Yeah.
Speaking of like 20
catfishing people,
that
in a fucking circle also, and I get a cube.
Speaking of like the monolith, you know, the Space Odyssey like monolith, like Kirk Cameron
this
was like
is fucking Orgon pyramid. He's trying to sell you to keep fucking bullies away from your Facebook page.
But this whole fucking thing is an ad for Circle, which is some sort of device that you put as like a family internet safety device.
It's just a fucking thing for Disney to know what you're looking at.
Yes.
So they can market to you, but that's advertised as this thing to like,
it's a surveillance
it'll keep
device.
you, it'll let you know when your kids are on xvideos.com.
And it's so both you and Disney can supervise everything your kid is doing.
Yes. My kid is watching a muscular twink fuck a dragon, an animated muscular twink fuck a dragon on xvideos.com.
Directed by Caleb.
No, but yeah, it's like, yeah, you can set, you link all your devices to this network. You can set bedtimes. You can control what websites are allowed, etc.
Yeah.
And
good. Let Disney know every fact.
Yep.
Let them get your heartbeat.
Yep.
Although I don't really know why people get upset about that stuff. Like, what the fuck? Fuck is Google gonna do knowing my heart rate?
Yeah. They can aim the CIA heart gun at you, heart attack gun at you. But also, if you watch this documentary, and I recommend you do, you can get $15 off a Circle by Disney and free shipping.
Now, this is not a replacement for healthy, engaged parenting, but it's a huge help. And here's the cool part. Because you're part of the family, Circle wants you to have this device. So they're gonna give you $15 off plus free shipping because you're watching Connect.
And you know what? We'll save you the time right now. If you listen to this podcast, text the word Connect Now, one word, to the number 38470. Connect that. Once again, that's Connect Now to 38470.
Text Boys Bible Study to that number. See what happens.
Text boysbiblestudy.com to everyone in your phone book right now, and you'll be amazed what happens.
Right before he starts his ad pitch too, he says, "Now that you've seen the movie, put away your phones and like think about what you've watched." And then after he explains the product, he's like, "Okay, now take out your phone."
Yeah,
that's right. That's such a good point. Yeah, this movie ends with a call to action. It says
the call to action is to buy the Disney thing.
Yes.
That's so crazy. I was really expecting him to be fucking like text hashtag I love Jesus to everyone on your phone.
Right. Like that's a real way to connect. Like that's how you can connect. He does say, now on the car ride home, talk about the movie, which implies one that you went to the fucking theater with your family to see Kirk Cameron Connect.
Yeah.
And also two, that like, that's not what you would do on the car ride home.
Right.
If you were in that insane small percentage of families who actually did that like you wouldn't talk about it. But no, it is a fucking advertisement. This whole movie is an infomercial. I honestly could not believe it. I was shocked.
Imagine if you were a kid going to see this with your parents.
Holy shit.
The nightmare that is about to become your life.
Yeah.
Or just the parents coming home.
Oh yeah, them, dear listener. Depending on how much I edit this, you may have already heard this song about 50 times, but yeah, it ends with this just god awful fucking EDM like stock music song. I will say it's catchy.
What's the guy's name? Binkle Dinkle or something?
Bracklesby.
Bible boy. Yeah, Brocklesby. What's his last name?
It's like Brocklesby Turner or something.
Yeah. Shout outs to Brocklesby Turner, the fucking composer of this. Shout outs Brocklesby. If you're listening, please leave a comment. Connect with us, Brocklesby. That was, I would say, a pretty good summary of Connect. We really went in depth with this one. Highly recommended, even though we hit many of the major beats. I think you'll still find, I mean, there's many offhand comments that just like breeze by that, like are just made me laugh, and they were impossible to, we'd be doing you a disservice to put them all in this episode, because you might really enjoy watching this. What do we think? Any final thoughts? And also, how would we rate this film? What's the official Boys Bible Study rating of Kirk Cameron Connects?
I got to give it 5 cultural lies out of 5 cultural lies. It's, as somebody who's not on the socials, it really did give me a smug sense of self-satisfaction watching other people struggle with social media, not just Tyler, the creator, said, just turn off the screen.
Yes. As prophet of the Lord, Tyler, the creator, once said, ha, 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 ha. Cyberbullying is not real. Ha, 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 ha.
I'm going to have to give this 5 of God's truths out of 5 of God's truths. Because there were so many truths in this movie. Man, all I can think about is that CGI scene that just like throws everything you've gone through under the bus, followed by an ad for a product that Disney makes.
Mind-numbing.
Really incredible, man. Just bald head, huge beard. Kirk
So
Cameron is in
weird.
this cosplay where he goes into the movie The Descent and then defeats the monster from the end of Batman vs. Superman with the rake from his backyard.
On the spiritual realm, Batman versus Superman, there's a battle raging, and it is Batman versus Superman. I think this was a perfect film in every way. I'm gonna have to give this film 8 out of 8 blog rings, because that was how many blog rings you were allowed to join on Zanga back in 2003.
Yeah.
Blog rings was the name for groups, and you could join 8 out of 8 blog rings. Perfect film in every way. I really appreciated this cautionary tale about your kids. Listen, they're never gonna have sex in real life. Just let them fucking.
Those days are over.
No, those days are over, man. I'm sorry. Like, you can think of this as a good thing or a bad thing. Your daughter's not getting pregnant. She's never having sex.
Yeah.
Your son is never having sex. Just let them fucking role play like Death Note characters online or whatever the fuck they're doing. Like, come on. Like, who cares if you find some sexually explicit, like Neon Genesis Evangelion like memes on their phone. Like, who the fuck cares? Let's say you find a meme with SpongeBob, but it's kind of like deep fried and says some things you don't understand on it. Like, don't pray about it. Like, they're fine. Don't worry. Listen, your kid's never going to have sex. He's going to make $200,000 a year as a programmer for some reason. He's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. So don't worry about it. Kirk Cameron Connect. Once again, watch this on Tubi.tv. Search for Kirk Cameron Connect. You're going to love it. We love Tubi. They're not our sponsor, but you can watch anything for free. You don't even need to sign up. On our side of things, please check out boysbiblestudy.com. That's where you can see all of our free episodes, listen, and subscribe to all the places where you can find our podcast. Also, if you enjoy our free episodes, we would love for you to check out patreon.com/boysbiblestudy. For your donation of $5 a month or more, you get access to all of our bonus episodes. We do at least 2 a month. We most recently did another episode about one of Caleb Price and Kirk Cameron's short films called Come Home, which was pretty insane. We had a lot of fun talking about it. Shout outs to our patron saints at the $20 tier. We really appreciate your generous support. Nicole, Russell, Marissa, and Jeff. Our outro music is Oh My God by Mary. Check out Mary's music out on Bandcamp and Spotify. From all of us here at Boys Bible Study, myself, Ash, my co-hosts, Scott and Julian, we would like to say, peace be with you.
And also with you.
And also with you.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I feel your love in me, it's coming from within. Oh my God, my devotion is so unwavering. Divine emotions when